What's going on, golf addicts? It's the DraftKings DFS show for the Masters 2023. We are together and we are pumped. Before we get into all the picks, all our thoughts on the chalk, our thoughts on lineup construction, our thoughts on live players, on PGA Tour players, on ownership leverage, on things that you must remember before you finalize your Masters DraftKings lineups. We've got an interview with our friend JT Poston playing in his second Masters. And JT just got back from Augusta. He did a little reconnaissance trip with Jeff Knox, famous marker at Augusta. And he learned a little bit about the golf course, some of the changes, talked to us about those changes, and a few fun things about the Masters. So check this interview out first. And it's about 25 minutes or so, 28 minutes. If you want to skip forward, you can, but we don't recommend it. And then after that, we're going to start off with our picks, our thoughts on DraftKings and things to know. So check out the interview with JT Poston. Here you go. All right, golf addicts, pumped to have our friend JT Poston on with us. He's going to be playing in his second Masters. JT is also making his second appearance here on the Tour Junkies podcast. JT, it was a long time ago, the first time, bud. It's been too long. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I was trying to remember the first time when I was on here, how long it's been. I honestly don't even know if I remember what we talked about. But
3 years ago or something?
Yeah, it feels like a while. Flinger's a little more regular than I am, I guess, at getting on these things.
We'll have to, when we have you back, we're going to have you back on for like a more fun, sit down, have a drink at night situation. But well, I'll have to go back and listen to that one. I did that when we interviewed HV3 again, because we interviewed him in like 2018 when he first came on, and then we did it again like a year ago. And I wanted to throw myself off of a building listening to how I interviewed him in that first episode. It was terrible. So I'm sure it was similar with you, and we'll have to make up for that.
Yeah, we can run it back.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Masters here pretty much exclusively. We're gonna have some fun too. But you playing your second Masters, but your first one was in November. JT, you played in the November one. Much different. So how has the preparation looked to this point for Augusta, and what's going to happen as soon as you get on site, maybe Sunday or Monday?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely some things to still take away from the first one. It was, it was eerily different. I mean, it's still the Masters and it's still a great week, but with it being November and COVID and nobody out there, no par 3, no crowds, it was definitely different. And the golf course obviously plays different that time of year. So as far as prep goes, I've been up. I've played it in February. We got on a cold day, but I was able to kind of see some of the changes that have happened since I was there last time, and new tees and stuff like that. And really, as far as tournament week goes, it's just going to be trying to get used to greens, and it'll definitely be firmer than when we were there last. Ball probably going a little further, bouncing a little bit more. So just trying to adjust to that, really.
I think the big question is, you just mentioned it, is going to be the changes. They backed up the tee box on 13, and a lot of people are going to be talking about that. So what are your impressions of it? And do you think it's going to make a huge difference? Because I've heard like Rory was there recently and was still hitting 5 irons into 13 green. So like, what do you think the biggest difference is going to be in the effect?
I think it is going to play a huge difference. I mean, Rory to be saying he's hitting 5 iron into that green, I don't know what he used to hit, but I can't imagine he hits more than a 7 iron in there before. And so the one time that I've played it since seeing the new tee, we had it on a cold day. The ball wasn't going very far, but I got to that tee and it was kind of off the left, and I hit a good drive up the left center, I think. And I had 215 or 220 probably to the front edge. And so it's going to take, you're still going to be able to get there. You're just going to have to hit for most guys, you're going to be hitting a long iron or maybe even a hybrid or 3-wood. And I think there's going to be more guys that might choose to lay up. I do think that at least that day, with it not going very far, the tee ball wasn't as hard. I think you could there wasn't any bailout. Or there was bailout, you could hit it straight or hit it right, and it still stays in the short stuff and doesn't really run through in the pine straw into the trees like it did before. So I would say it doesn't really make you have to try and turn it around the corner as much, at least for me. It's more about kind of that second shot you're having a longer club into the green going for it. So more of a decision to make whether you want to take that on or not.
So 13 is going to be what they're going to, a lot of people are going to talk about, obviously, with the changes. But were there any other ones that you noticed that, like, some people might not be really thinking about that really stood out to you when you were there?
So I think the big ones for me were ones they probably talked about last year. They weren't necessarily new changes for this year's Masters, but since I had played it last, 11 was different. It was longer. The tee shot was a lot more open, kind of down that right side with the trees, and then by the green, there's a little bit more of a runoff short right of the green. It doesn't really bounce down to that front edge, or just kind of makes that when you bail out short right on 11, it makes that up and down a lot harder now, the way it's set up. And it's easy to do that because the hole's 500 yards. So you're hitting a long iron into a tough green. So those were the ones that kind of stood out. 15 was a little bit longer. Um, the tee box was a little bit further back than I was there last. So tee balls aren't kind of landing on the downslope and getting way down there. They're landing more upslope, and again, you're having longer clubs into those par fives for the second shot when you're going for them, which I think is what they were trying to accomplish. So
Yeah.
those are the ones that stood out to me. When we played it, they said that 3 green was different. The back right of 3 green, I honestly couldn't really tell much of a difference when I played it. So if it was a change, then it would have been probably a subtle change.
Who'd you play with when you went there in February?
I took my brother, and we played with Jeff Knox and his son Lee. So yeah, we had a great time.
There you go. He's not the marker anymore, right?
He's not. No, he's moved on. I forget. He told me who it was, and I forget the guy's name, but he said he's a younger guy and hits it a long ways, and so he can kind of keep up with us out there, I guess.
I don't like it. I don't like
it. But he's a legend. I mean,
is he still a wizard around the greens, like they say?
Yeah, it's impressive. He's definitely. I definitely made a point to kind of pick his brain on a few of the greens that. And there were a few. I mean, even the day that we played it, obviously it's not quite the speed as tournament week, but some of those breaks, it's hard to convince yourself that it's going to break a certain way with Rays Creek when you're looking at some slope in front of you and you think it's going to break the other way. But yeah, he's been good to me. He's offered up some good advice and kind of showed me the ropes here the couple times I've been there and played with him.
That's good. He's a good dude. Let me ask you this, like, in a way, it's going to feel, I would imagine, maybe you tell me if I'm wrong, a little bit like your first time again, like when you have patrons out there and you have the galleries and, like you said, the par 3 and all that goes on, around it. And I guess I'm just thinking also, I was thinking about this today, the Masters is notorious for first timers not being necessarily a thing. It's been a long time since we've seen a first timer win the tournament. And I wonder if as the years go by, if that will become less and less of a thing, because there's like so much data now, and people got stats guys and all the stuff that people have now at their disposal, and all the years of watching it and all the data that we've been getting every year from Augusta that kind of helps us understand, maybe helps you guys maybe better understand how to attack the golf course. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? Or is there something else you think? It just might be one of those times when a first timer could jump up and get it done.
I do think you're going to see less and less of it, and for the reasons you just talked about. I think guys have so much more information at their disposal, and they're taking advantage of it, and they're doing it well before they get out on the PGA Tour, and they're doing it in college at the highest amateur level. They're coming out way more prepared, and there's not as much of a learning curve of this isn't playing at your home golf course anymore. You're traveling, you're playing different golf courses, different grasses, different setups, different styles, and guys are just ready. And I think the Masters is going to be no different. I think you talked about guys having stats guys, and I mean those guys are sending them out basically a game plan every night based on pin positions and tees and certain pins to go for, certain pins to steer away from, regardless of what club you're hitting, and it just kind of makes the decision for themselves. And I would say if there's probably one place where you can't really get away with that, it probably is Augusta, where I think there are some holes and some shots that you kind of need to take advantage of and go for, and then there's some that maybe not call for that. So, but yeah, I think more and more over to answer your question. I don't think you'll see the whole rookie or first timers really struggle as much as they have in the past, just because they're more prepared as a whole coming in.
Do you? We got a question from I told some of our Discord members that we were talking to today, and I asked if they had any questions, and our buddy Spaz wanted to know specifically for you, what is the scariest hole on the course for you and why?
Scariest, I would say 5 is just a hard one. There's no. I don't think people realize that T-ball is not as easy as people think. I would take 4 balls in the fairway right now, and I feel like I could handle the rest. And obviously, you do that, and you're hitting a long iron into a green that is probably the craziest, if not one of the craziest greens as far as undulation goes, and where the pins are going to be tucked. And it's just really hard to kind of put your golf ball on that green somewhere where you can be aggressive. And that's after you've hit the fairway, after you've hit a good shot in the green. So 5 is kind of one that comes to mind. I don't know. I think 11 is obviously a hard one. Amen corner, if you want to play that stretch really well. But I think, talking about this being my second one, it's going to feel like my first one a little bit with the patrons and people being there in the par 3. And there's definitely going to be a lot of new things. But I think it does help to have played in it before. And the tee shots haven't changed. The look hasn't changed. I've hit a lot of those shots in the greens, chips and putts around the greens. It might be a little bit faster than it was in November, but for the most part, I've hit those shots. And so I think I can kind of lean on that and take that going into next week for sure.
What do you think about with your game? I mean, you had a good week at match play, and then you're getting the week off now, and so heading into Augusta a little bit rested. Like, did you find anything at match play, or is your game been trending in a good way anyway? What are some things about your game kind of heading into Augusta that you're liking right now?
Yeah, I mean, the games felt good for a while. I had a stretch there where I missed a few cuts and didn't play my best, and it was kind of a mix of some back stuff that kind of flared up that wasn't really feeling 100%, and then Players Week, my driver the face had kind of gone flat on me, and so it was acting up a little bit, but got those straightened out and was back to kind of hitting it the way I knew I had been since basically the start of the year in Tampa, and rolling it well. So I'm just kind of carrying a bunch of confidence, I think, going into next week. I'm hitting it well. The first time going into Augusta, I think it was a combination of, nerves and wasn't playing my best at the time. And I remember getting there and just not driving it well. And I think this time around, I really feel like I'm driving it well and can kind of get the ball in the fairway, and hitting irons good enough to where I feel like I can make a bunch of birdies.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any games you got lined up next week in the practice rounds? You got anybody that you're looking forward to playing with, maybe?
I don't. I mean, I usually play my usual go-to games are Sepp Straka and Chris Kirk. So I'm sure we'll play at least 1 or 2 days once they get into town. But the one guy, somebody was asking me this a couple weeks ago if there was somebody or like a past champ and that I'd love to play with. And obviously Tiger's the first one that comes to mind, but Fred Couples is somebody that I've never gotten a chance to meet. I'd always love to go play 9 holes with Freddie, and I don't know, maybe long shot get 9 holes in with Freddie next week would be awesome.
Pat had a poster of Fred on his ceiling above his bed when he was a child. So
I have a Freddie Couples signed Masters badge from when he won around here. Awesome. I love Freddie. He was my favorite.
Town. He's awesome.
Oh yeah, those old Lynx irons and the Ashworth. Oh man, you gotta love it.
So fun fact, I won't get into the story, but my dad actually pulled over Fred Couples for speeding in a neighborhood Masters Week one year.
Did he really?
He let him off the hook because he said my wife would kill me if I went home and told her I gave Fred Couples a ticket. So
yeah, that's good for him.
Awesome. I do have some fun questions, I guess. Like maybe, so what would be like of the guys in the field this year? I guess you probably just answered it. I was going to say, like, what would be your ideal pairing? If you're coming out Thursday and Friday, like you're thinking, man, if I could play with these guys, like this is a good group. I'd be, maybe a little more relaxed. Maybe. Who are those guys? Is it Kirk and Sepp?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Anybody that's a familiar face, Chris Kirk, Sepp Straka, Harris English. Keith Mitchell just got in, so
Yeah.
he'd be another one. Like just some guys that I've played with a bunch down here in Sea Island, and just try and. I mean, it'd be impossible walking around there and trying to pretend you're not playing the Masters, but just trying to treat it like another tournament or another match or something, just to kind of be as calm and as you can.
How many? This is random. How many tickets do you get as a player?
We get 8, and then we have the chance to buy 4 more,
Praise God,
4 additional ones per day. So
what
I've
about
got a whole.
Fleener? How many does Fleener get?
Fleener, I think Fleener gets 1 for the week.
Okay.
But we're taking care of his parents, getting them out there.
That's nice.
And so he'll use, I think, his 1 ticket for Aubrey most days when she's in town, and then we're gonna get his parents out there, so we don't want them to miss it.
What's your favorite concession item? I'm sure that as a player, you get to eat all the good stuff inside the clubhouse, and it's all special. But if you're a patron, what's your go-to concession item?
It's the pimento cheese sandwiches. I mean, it's cliche. That's what everybody talks about, but it's almost kind of why it's the one, because you're just kind of sitting down eating a pimento cheese sandwich from Augusta National.
Is there something you don't like? Is there stuff on there on the menu you don't like?
There's some things that I don't think that I've had. I mean, to be honest, I had never been to the Masters. I'd been to the Masters one time when I was a kid, maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
And that was the only other time I'd been before I was in the field. And
no way.
Yeah.
What?
And so I have some memories of the crowds there as a kid. But obviously my only other time there has been playing it when it's not tournament week, or, playing the November Masters in 2020. So,
dang.
I don't know that I've had all the different items on the menu to be able to tell you what I don't like, but the pimento cheese, I do remember I've had a few of those the first time around, and they live up to the hype for sure.
Do they have any of the sandwiches out on the course, like when you're playing? I never noticed anybody eating a pimento cheese sandwich in the middle of the round.
They had them in the locker room, wrapped up in the locker room, and you could just kind of grab them off the shelf, basically.
Like,
from
could
what I remember,
put them in his pockets or something and just take them out there with him if you wanted?
Yeah, you could grab a handful of them and throw them in the bag if you wanted to. I think they're kind of just, from what I remember, there's the pimento cheese, the chicken salad, and maybe something else, and you can just kind of grab them off the shelf, basically, in the locker room and toss them in the bag.
Well, we're a couple of Masters veterans as patrons, obviously. And I would say you have to try. I mean, the barbecue sandwiches are fantastic. I'd tear those up. Yeah. The little ice cream sandwiches with the cookies on, they're like peach ice cream or something. Those things in the freezer section. And then the last thing I'll say is the damn chicken biscuits in the morning.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that was a thing.
That's the sneaky good one. That's the sneaky good one. That's relatively new. They haven't had that forever. But
I'll relay the message. We're going to have a whole bunch of family and friends rolling in all week, kind of in and out of town, coming different days, and I'll relay the message to the rest of them about what to and what not to eat.
I was gonna say, and maybe I don't know if you did it, how you did it in 2020, or if you'll do it any different this year. But did you get out at all? Did you go to a restaurant in Augusta? Did you do anything, or did you kind of stay in the house and stay at the course?
In 2020, we did a little bit. I mean, there obviously weren't any fans or weren't any people there outside of residents. So you didn't have any trouble getting reservations. Really, you could kind of go eat where you want. I think this time around, more so because we got a big crew coming in. I mean, I've got a big family. My wife's got a big family. We're gonna have a bunch of people hanging out most nights, and so we've got a house rented for everybody to stay, and we're just kind of doing dinners there at the house and not even bothering trying to get a reservation because we know it's going to be impossible.
It'll be tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the whole Live PGA Tour collision. Are there any buddies that are going to be coming that you're like, man, I'm glad I'm going to get to see, whoever again? Any of those guys that are coming to the Masters this year for you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know the full list of guys that are playing on Live that have gotten the invite. I don't know who made it off world ranking, and obviously I know the past champs, but I don't really know those guys that well.
Yeah.
The guys that I know better are probably HV3 and
Yep.
Abe Answer.
Yep.
Those guys, those are good friends of mine. Harold and I, we played high school and college golf against each other, and so yeah, I mean, he's still a great friend, and look forward to see him. Hadn't seen him in a while, so.
What the next thing I was going to ask is, do you think Fleener? I don't know what he did in 2020, but do you think he'll wear an undershirt, or you think we could talk him into going shirtless underneath like Stevie Williams used to do?
No, I think he'll definitely go undershirt because he's got some good ones that he wants to kind of just kind of sneak out there. He has this Reba one that I've seen him wear a bunch out just when we go out to
What about our young
Fleener?
But
the third grade Fleener. He's wearing that.
I bet that one could make that one. Probably is in the mix. I
we need
guarantee
to design
you
a
he's
shirt
already
where the design is like right here and it says something or something. Get it to him one day.
Yeah. I guarantee you he's thought about it though. He's already he has them planned out. He will have a row of shirts that he'll have set up for each day, I'm sure.
Do you have any I'm all out of questions now, so this is always my go-to. Just and I know we've talked about this before, but do you have any recent Siwoo interactions you want to share with the class, AT?
Oh man. I don't off the top of my head. I love Siwoo, cracks me up. I mean, the number of stories. Fleener's really good with Vranish, his old caddy. And so we've heard plenty of good Siwoo stories from Vranish and just like on course stuff, interactions, and even just like decisions that he's making. And it's just like the thoughts going through his head while he's playing are so good. It's like, he hit what on that hole? He's like, hit it right in the middle of the fairway. It's just he's one of my favorite people to watch play and like get paired with, because you just don't know what you're gonna get.
Dude, if somehow, if fate allowed like you and Siwoo to be paired together, even in a practice round, I'll be out there on Tuesday. Even if it's just a practice round, that would just be the greatest. Watch you guys do your thing. Let you relay to me what he said on this hole or whatever. Or watch you guys, come down the stretch on Sunday or something in one of the last groups. That'd be cool too.
That'd be great. I'm down for the latter part, coming down the stretch. Sounds good to me.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate the time. Like I said, we got to get you back on for a more in-depth deep dive into JT Poston. It's been a while. You got married since we had John. You've won since a couple times now since we've had John. You're getting long in the tooth out there on the PGA Tour, man.
I'm a veteran these days. Everybody's 23 years old now, coming out hitting at 350. I'm dinking it out there at 285.
Dude, you are not dinking it. We've seen you hit it. You are far from dinking it.
I'm kidding. It feels like it sometimes though.
But so speaking of that, we got a little extra time. What's your thoughts on the whole ball thing?
I'm not totally sure. I don't understand. I don't love the idea of the pros playing a different ball than the everyday golfer. I think that's part of what draws people to tournaments, and people love watching guys hit the ball a long ways. If it was flip-flopped, if we had a ball that went further than the average golfer, I don't think people would be as impressed, because they're like, well, that's the golf ball. But when they know that you're hitting the same golf ball and using the same equipment that they have access to, and you're hitting it as far as you do, then I think that's just a big draw to why people go to golf tournaments and why they follow players for the most part. I can see both sides of the argument, where I think it would benefit probably the longer players more by moving the ball back, because it's already a strength of theirs, and I think it would just make it even more strength. I do like what people are saying, or what I've heard guys talk about. Don't worry about the ball, but make the sweet spot on the drivers a lot smaller. So if you want to swing it 125 and try and hammer it, you can. But if you miss hit it, then it's going to go way offline. I think I'd like to see that maybe before the ball gets rolled back. But I can see both sides of the argument. I mean, guys are hitting it a lot further. Guys are spending a lot more time in the gym. They're spending a lot more time focused on their bodies, myself included. I've never been a gym rat, but I'm trying to do the best I can to, you know, make sure I'm healthy, make sure I'm swinging it the best I can. And so at some point, you kind of have to give guys credit to paying attention to that. I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
Rory hits it forever,
Yeah.
and he spends a ton of time in the gym, and he obviously doesn't look like the average golfer did, 30 years ago. So it's a tricky one. I hope whoever is behind the scenes making those decisions makes the right one, and because I feel like golf's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what DB would say is a little bit of a counteract for what you just said. He'd be like, "Well, is it really a different driver or the same driver than a normal player's hitting? Is it really the same ball? I mean, I don't know. Is Rory playing the exact same driver that I can go to, go order? I don't know.
There, I would say there are some probably small differences, but I think those small differences are just little tweaks to really get zeroed in on Rory's golf swing and exactly how he's swinging it and looking at the numbers. And I would say, if you go get fit for a driver, you can probably get fit down to those specifics too. Now,
Yeah.
the hard part is going to be access to. There are certain shafts out there probably that are hard to get your hands on and are only accessible to tour
Yeah.
pros. So I get
Or
that.
very expensive. So.
Very expensive, right? Like I get that. So there is, you can only use that argument to a certain extent. But I don't know. I think if you've got Rory plays the TaylorMade driver, if you got a TaylorMade driver and you use this TaylorMade ball, like chances are, he could hit that ball however far too. He's just got it zeroed in on what's going to go the furthest and the straightest, probably.
There's hope for me, DB. There's hope. I can get it past 260.
Yeah.
Listen, I just been trying to get one. I mean, all these players and caddies we know, I can't get anybody to get me a dang, yellow or red zone driver face off the truck into my hand so I can game it at the club. That's all I'm asking for. I really don't care about any of this other stuff. I can't get it. Somebody can make it happen. I know you guys get free stuff all the time. If it's illegal, if it's red, pass it on to me. Nobody's testing me at Champions Retreat. Nobody.
Hey, true. To this day, I've never had one that failed. Otherwise, I give it to you. But I must not be hit. Like I said, I must not be hitting it hard enough to be going red. They bring it back. Oh, you're good. You're good. You're not hitting it too far. You're not hitting it too far.
Boy, you need to stop. Okay, whatever, JT. You're poor mouthing your driver swing speed right now. I know you are because I've walked closely with you and I've seen you hit it next to guys who are considered long, and you're right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any questions? You have any questions for us, JT?
Man, when are we getting me and Flainer on here again? I guess we got to get the big man on here and just go head to head.
Yeah,
I think when we do that, it has to be in person. We need to find a good setting, have some drinks with us. Then that's when we can really get some good conversation flowing with both you guys, and because it's harder when you're doing it like this.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, makes sense.
In person,
we can make that happen.
Great, but it's definitely hard. I was trying to do it at the RSM, but we ran out of time, and you guys were so busy. All right, that was a fantastic interview with JT. We appreciate him coming on. Hope you got some good nuggets from that. And listen, you're going to get a lot of good nuggets from this show, but also more to come in the Nut Hut in our Discord the rest of the week, because we're recording this on Sunday evening. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Sunday. The Valero's wrapping up. Corey Connor's about to win this thing. Brooks Koepka about to win the Live event in Orlando. Things are going crazy right now. People are tweeting us because they think we write the chalk bomb now, and we're just sending them straight to Joe Idoni because, listen, this is the cross you bear when you are the chalk bomb author. It's a bold piece of content, folks. Joe Idoni made Corey Connors the chalk bomb, and for the third time in chalk bomb history,
the chalk bomb's going to win.
The chalk bomb is going to win.
And then you know what happens too when you write the chalk bomb and you take on that role, you just get thrown under the bus.
Yeah, we're going to throw you under the bus. But listen, it's a bold piece. It's a bold move, and Joe's the man. We love Joe. He's a sharp guy too. But if you're mad at him for that, why would you not be happy with him for helping you win 15 units in head-to-head betting all year? Because he's been crushing that in the Discord. But anyway, so it's early. That's what we're saying. It's the DFS show. A lot of things are going to come out. Content's going to be coming out from all these content creators. And by Wednesday night, when we have better idea of the weather, when we have tee times, when we have, all the press conferences that we'll all sift through. And we've seen the golf course. I'm going on Tuesday. We just went yesterday to the Augusta National Women's Amateur and saw the course. We're going to talk to our friends playing and our caddies caddying. A lot of information is going to come down and things can change. So while we're going to talk about some of our favorite plays and guys we don't love and guys we like, we're going to talk about live guys. We're going to talk about, all that stuff. We're also going to talk about a lot of things you need to remember and trends and stats in DFS specifically. And then I would say subscribe to the emails, but most importantly, be in the Nut Hut. We're going to have some great stuff coming down in the Discord server, which is the Nut Hut. If you're not familiar, you can click the link in the podcast and YouTube description to join. You can go to tourjunkies.com/nuthut to learn more. And that is going to be where we're going to have our Wednesday night live chat. Me and Pat, we're going to go for a couple hours there on Wednesday night. That's where Wednesday during lunch, you're going to have lunchtime chat with DB. I'm probably going to have a barbecue sandwich from the club from Augusta National because I'm a barbecue sandwich guy.
Yeah, I am. I'm not really.
You're pimento cheese.
I like the barbecues, but they're it's not my go-to. I'm pimento cheese with an egg salad in the morning. If you're gonna have, so here's the thing too. When you get out there,
don't like egg salad.
You immediately will get a beer. It doesn't matter what time it is. You're gonna go get a beer early.
100%.
Get a little egg salad with that. But then you got to. But the chicken biscuit really is the sneaky breakfast item that they have now. That's awesome. So
yes. So you're gonna get a lot of stuff in the Discord. Be a part of that. And actually, if you needed one more reason to join the Discord, I'm about to give it to you because you could win this prize pack that you're seeing on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. But if you're not, if you're listening on audio, first of all, thank you. Let me describe it to you. We've got a 2023 Masters Tournament sign that we just picked up. Little metal tin kind of sign you can put on a man cave or something like that. Look great. A Masters polo. This beautiful Masters watch, which I'm going to take out. Oh, well, it's not on camera.
The picture up there,
I'll show it here in a second.
They can't see it.
Beautiful Masters sport watch, green and white. It's very classic looking. And we also threw in some TJ stuff, a putter head cover, a trucker hat, and a beer sleeve, Tour Junkies beer sleeve to hide 6 beers from your head pro who's mad at you for bringing beers into the club without buying them. So you've got this beautiful Masters green and white watch that you could win. We just picked all this up from the pro shop yesterday at the Anwa event. And all you have to do to enter to win is be an annual member of the Discord server. It's $199 for the year. And I'm telling you, you will win your money back and then some if you're paying attention and you're active and involved in the Discord, in the Nut Hut. $199 a year. And now you get a chance to win all this stuff. If you're already a yearly subscriber, then you're already entered. You are in. So we're going to do that random draw on either Wednesday night or Thursday morning. We'll see how that goes. Probably Wednesday night, now that I think about it, because I'll be doing stuff Thursday morning. Okay. So Wednesday night, we'll announce the winner of that. Get on it quickly. Link in the description of everything you see here. On the betting show, we talked a lot about trends. So if you want some of that intel, trends on the winner, key stats, we talked a lot about that. We went through the weather ad nauseum on the betting show, but we'll go through it much more so in the coming days, especially in the Nut Hut chat on Wednesday. So if you want all that, you can go check out the betting show. I finally lost a betting wheel.
Finally,
Nick Hardy beat Brandon Wu.
Yes.
I took a shoe shot out of a disgusting golf shoe just a minute ago that I got a piece of Bermuda grass in my teeth. That was a good show. Check that out. We're not going to get into all that today, though, because we got too much going on with the JT Poston interview. Time to get into it. I want to talk about some things specific to DraftKings, though, Pat.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, yes, weather's a thing. Key stats are a thing. We'll talk about all that. We've already talked about it. Course history obviously gets a bump, all that stuff. But here's what you got to remember. Top 50 in ties, right? You're going to have a high 6 of 6 percentage with the top 50 in ties getting through the cut. 88 total players. And then if you count olds, amateurs, irrelevance, other irrelevance like Bryson, you could see 60 to 65% of the field play the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is a lot higher. So remember that. I think that the Masters is one of those majors where even though you're excited and you want to play a bunch of guys, I actually think you need to tighten the player pool. I prefer a tighter player pool this week in GPPs if you're doing the larger GPPs because you just, again, when you remove all the olds and the AMs and the irrelevance, like you're not talking about a whole lot of players. So if you have too much exposure spread out, you're going to end up probably just breaking even. And that's not the point. The point is, because in this show, we're going to talk a little bit about cash, but it's mostly, when I say cash, 50-50s and double ups on DraftKings, just trying to double your money back. But this show is primarily about taking down a GPP, a big tournament,
Mm-hmm.
or finishing in the top 1 to 3% of a large tournament and getting a big return. And the goal should be that, or I lose it all, because this is a form of, you know what it is. Like you're risking money. So I think you should tighten the player pool. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people to do. It's still hard for me. We've been doing this 8 years. It's still hard because there's so many good players.
We're not trying to put an investment portfolio together here, DB. Okay, we're not trying to get have asset allocation. All right, where we got some real estate, we got some precious metals in there. We got your large
crypto.
Caps. Yeah, we got your crypto, your large caps.
Maybe a baseball card.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're trying to win money or else. Okay?
Maybe a signed Kelly Kapowski poster from the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. They say in the investment world, don't put all your eggs in one basket. We're putting all the eggs in one basket, okay? That's what we're going to do this week in DFS, and that's what I think. That's a mindset that you really got to have. You want to differentiate your lineups as much as you can from an ownership standpoint. Yeah. But, you got to tighten it up and just go all in or nothing, okay?
And I think to take down a big tournament, you need these things. You got to have the winner.
Yeah.
So regardless of ownership, like you got to have the winner. You got to have them. You have to have the winner. You have to have all of your players finish in the top 15 probably at worst. That's probably what you're going to need to take one down. If to have a real sweat on Sunday, you have to be able to envision all 6 of the selections that you put in your DraftKings lineup finishing in the top 15 at the worst, with one of them winning, based on historical what's happened since 2015 when DraftKings started and when we started. And that means also you have to have plenty of ownership leverage within those 6 players finishing in the top 15. And I like a total ownership. We don't talk about this a lot. We don't get into the nuts of this a lot, but I think it's important for a big show like this. We have a lot of new listeners. We have a lot of people who are newly dipping their toe into DraftKings. I think a total ownership no more than that 70 to 75%. Not to say that, ownership above that hasn't won before, but I think the general rule of thumb should be a total ownership amount of 70 to 75% between your 6 guys. If you don't know what that means, basically what I'm saying is, of your 6 players and their projected ownership in a contest, let's say it's the Millie Maker, one of the Millie Makers, if you added it all up, does it equal 70 to 75% or less? That's what we need. If you have a bunch of chalk players, popular players that everybody's playing, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you to make up ground on those above you. And unless you have the nut flush, which is hard to do, you're not going to do anything. You're going to tread water or you're going to lose money. So you have to have guys that are below some of those ownership thresholds. It doesn't mean you can't eat chalk. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. If you are going to eat the chalk and play some popular players, then I also think you need to remember to go overweight on that. Mm-hmm. So be extra, okay? So if you're going to say, I am playing Corey Connors at 70, whatever he is, $7,600 because he's hot, and Corey Connors is projected at 17%, then we would say play him at like 30+%. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't put him in 50% of my lineups, but play him at like 30, 35%. You're almost doubling what the ownership of 17% is expected to be for him. So when he hits, if he hits what you're expecting him to do, because you're willing to eat the chalk, you are still getting leverage on a large portion of the field. Okay. Don't play him at 10%. That's dumb, because you're not leveraged well, and you're believing he's going to hit and you're eating the chalk. So don't do that. 2 more things. Know your contest. Public contests like the small Millie Makers, some of these single entry, the Albatross or the Dog Leg, some of these single entry, 3 max entry, smaller dollar contests, those ownership differences will be different than sharper contests. There's a few names I think about. Like, I think Spieth, I think Cam Young, Minwoo Lee, Kurt Kitayama, Seamus Power, Adrian Meronk, a few names that if you thought about it would probably be higher or lower owned in a really public contest versus a very sharp contest, people who play every week.
Yeah.
I would think Adrian Meronk would be a good name, right?
Yeah, I agree.
There's probably not a lot of public players that might be familiar with who he is, but a lot of the sharper, more regular DFS players might know who he is. They're going to be overweight on him. Understand that and understand your contest. Finally, completely fading the 9K and above range to me is not a viable strategy based on historical results at the Masters. There are really good players in the 8K range and below. Very good players. You could make a lineup with nobody at 9K or above Is it likely that lineup is going to win you a ton of money? No, not based on historical results at the Masters. You are going to have to figure out a combination of players in the 9K and 10K range that you are going to play and you are going to avoid, and you're going to have to hope it's right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And we see a lot of those same kind of trends when you're looking at betting outrights also. So if you're looking at the same trend with betting outrights, then you're going to want to have a few of those 9K and above guys. I totally agree. You cannot fade all of those guys. It's just not going to happen this week.
When you're up late at night and you're making your lineups and you're stressed, you just got off the Wednesday night live chat in the Nut Hut with me and Pat. You need to pick me up. You should probably head to Front Nine Coffee and check out front9coffee.com. People that love coffee, love golf, support the Tour Junkies, local coffee roaster here in Augusta, Georgia. Just rebranded. They got a brand new website up that's beautiful. Promo code TJ10 gets you 10% off the order. They will roast it fresh after you order. So when it's delivered to your front door, it is freshly roasted and delicious. You can get a blend of flavors, my own flavor, DB's Large Bucket of Nuts. You can get Pat's Bump and Run Espresso Milano in the morning. They're both delicious. You should try them both. Promo code TJ10 gets you 10% off the entire order, and you can reorder and hit that up. The Front Nine Coffee brand looks tremendous. Here's a quick sneak peek at it. 10 seconds. Look at this. Oh, that is beautiful. That's beautiful
Wonderful.
coffee. Love the rebrand. Good jitters. I like that.
I do.
I like that. Good jitters for the early birdies. All right. 9K and above, Pat. You know, like I said, weather, key stats, trends, all that stuff was hit in depth on the betting show. The weather is looking interesting. We won't go into it a whole lot of detail right now, but 9K and above, we got a ton of studs here, a ton of names. I want to start here. Eliminate players, because this is one of the hardest parts. Like, narrowing down your player pool and saying, nope, not playing those guys. Even though they're good, even though they're world-class players, yes, they could win. Yes, this could bone me, but I got to take a stand, and I'm going to go ahead and cross off these two names or one name or three, however many it is. Who are you eliminating from this range?
Well, I tell you what, DB, and this is hard. I feel like I need to hold your shoulder.
Shit, I know what you're about to say.
While I do this.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it to Max.
I think Max Homa.
Don't do it to Max.
Max Homa needs to be eliminated. I'm sorry. Look, DB, I mean, we talked about trends on the betting show.
I know.
And he's not fitting a whole lot of trends. And you know what? He just doesn't have a very good history here at all. He's missed a cut twice. 2 out of the last 3 years that he's played. Well, he's only played here 3 times. He's missed a cut twice. And then, sorry, is that okay? And then a T48 back last year. So I just don't see Max being a guy I want to spend up here over 9K, DB. He's just not. So I think you got to eliminate him. You know?
Is that your only one?
No, here's another one that I'm thinking about. And this one's actually hard for me, DB. But that is Xander Schauffele.
Okay.
I want to play Xander. I really do. And I think his ownership
Apparently you don't.
I think his ownership could be pretty low. But we really haven't seen Xander just play all that great lately. Didn't play great at the Players, for him. T19, T39 at the Arnold Palmer. Not a whole lot is exciting me about him. And if I want to take a gamble on a guy that I think is going to have a little bit lower ownership, I think for me it's going to be right there at the bottom, like either a Morikawa or maybe even a Justin Thomas.
Wait a minute. You think Morikawa is going to be lower owned than Xander? No way.
I think Morikawa could be lower owned than Xander.
No way.
You don't think so?
No. Morikawa is going to be heavier than Xander.
Why do you think that?
But everything you just said, like Morikawa having a little more, booming finishes, nearly won the Century. Had some decent, is trending at Augusta, limited history at Augusta, but 5th last year. Xander's miscut last year. People like Morikawa more.
So, but I'm looking
People like Morikawa more.
But Xander doesn't have terrible.
I know it's not bad. I'm just saying they're going to look at last year. They like Morikawa.
Okay.
They're going to look at.
Or will they be equal? You think it's going to be that much different?
Maybe. No, I don't think it'd be that much different, but I do think Morikawa is going to be heavier owned.
So those are two that I really kind of looked at.
Well, the Max Homa one breaks my heart. And I mean, I am a huge Max Homa guy. And while I do think Max could win the Masters, and I think it could be this year, and it would be a trend buster of a year, which would be wild. I'm not in love with it right now. Looking at the trends and all that's happening, I don't know. But he's not one I'm willing to cross off yet. As of Sunday evening, I'm willing to cross off 2 names. I'm willing to cross off Patrick Cantlay. Which is a tough name. Here's why. And you know, when you're in this 9K range with all these studs, you have to find something. You got to find something.
I feel like we need to reiterate this, what we're talking about here. Like, we are literally like taking a stand against on a guy. This is like, we're basically doing our personal chalk bombs.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, so listen, it's not like if you like Cantlay and you want to play him, fine. All right. But we're just saying these are the guys.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to make some decision here, just like we said earlier. We can't be all asset allocated. You know, we can't just have all these guys. You got to eliminate some of them.
There's 10 guys in this range, and I'm going to have exposure to probably 4 of them, maybe even 5 of them. But so that means that half of them I'm not going to have any exposure to at all. And you have to figure out who those are. And for me, it's Patrick Cantlay. And the biggest reason why is because to me, Patrick Cantlay has not proven it when it comes to difficult scoring conditions, especially in majors. And the winning score at Augusta National has been 10 under the last 2 years in perfect conditions. If we get the kind of wind we're talking about getting over the weekend, this thing could be won at 2 under or 3 under. I don't think Augusta National wants this thing won at 14 under or 15 under. I went back and looked at Patrick Cantlay's career. It's been a long career. He has 3 top 5 finishes all time where the winning score was 9 under or lower and no wins. Only 3 top 5s. He won the biggest tournament he probably won at a low score was the BMW when it was in Delaware. That was at 13 under. He's had you know 2 other top 5s or 3 top 5s, like I said, when it was 9 under or less. But he's not had a win yet, and that's over his entire career. So I don't trust Cantlay in very difficult scoring conditions. If you look at all of his PGA Tour victories, I think there's 5 or 6 of them. All of them except that one in Delaware were all scoring fests. You know, people are like, "Oh, he won Memorial. He won like 25 under."
Yeah.
The Shriners he's won a couple times. One of them was like normal Shriners. He won it like a bunch, and then another one was tough conditions. I think he won that one at like 10 under or something.
Yeah.
But I just don't know that I trust him in difficult scoring conditions. So it's just something that you find on a guy that you say, all right, I'm crossing that out. He's done. The second one for me, I have one more. And Pat.
No, please no.
This is a bold one. This is a bold call. It's an unpopular opinion.
Please.
But he's going to be one of the more popular players in the range because he's the cheapest guy of the big 3.
Oh,
and it's Rory Beta Boy, co-commissioner of the PGA Tour, McIlroy Monahan.
If I wasn't scared that we might break something, I would throw you off of this.
We would break a lot of things.
Yeah.
I am not going to play Rory because, first of all, I just know he's going to be popular. So I don't even have to ask myself, is Rory going to be under the radar and I can play him? No, that's not going to happen. Everybody wants Rory to win, and that's what's going to happen. Is there another player in the field that you would put more pressure on to win this golf tournament this year than Rory McIlroy?
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, you could maybe say Rahm feels a little bit of a pressure just because of the fact that he's been so good this year, but it's not the same as Rory.
It's not.
Because Rory has got the thing that nobody else in this field is trying to do. That's win the career Grand Slam.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do. He actually would be the second player ever. I think Gene Sarazen was the other one to actually finish and close the career Grand Slam at Augusta National at the Masters. So he's got a lot on him, and I do agree with that.
Yep. I'm not going to play all 3 of the big 3. I don't know if I'm going to play Scotty and Rahm, or it's just going to be one or the other. We'll see how ownership shakes out, but I know that Rory is the guy out there. And so for me, just not going to do it. If it burns me, it burns me. If he finally gets it done, I'll cry with the rest of the world and be happy that our savior Rory has finally won the Masters and not choked it away like he's done in years past. But I think he's the weaker of the top 3, and I'm gonna pass.
So let's let's talk about that a little more though. And as far as strategy, like, I think this is a viable thing, and a lot of people will be thinking about is like, do I fade the big three here? Do I totally fade the big three, not take any of them, and then just start my lineups below that? I think that's an interesting strategy that we could use.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can. I think you can fade the big three. That would obviously be a very bold move. I think, unlike, I don't think you can fade the entire 9K and 10K range, which I talked about a minute ago. But I do think you can fade the big three if you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know how much I will do that. I might have some lineups.
I think I'll put some lineups in like that.
Yeah, but it will not be a full on fade of the big three.
No,
it would be a fade of the third of the
It's
three.
Going to be impossible. Like, I could sit
you will
here
play Rory
right now on this show and say, yeah, DB, I'm going to play the strategy of fading the big three, and I'm not going to put Rory in a single lineup. There's no way that's ever going to happen. I know myself too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just not going to happen.
I know. All right, let's. I mean, guys, I don't know how it's all going to shake out in here. I mean, I think in a cash lineup, you could definitely go with, Spieth is interesting for me in a cash lineup. I think Morikawa in cash. I don't know how strongly I feel about Morikawa's ability to close the door and win, especially with windy conditions, difficult conditions, needing to lean on the short game more so. But I trust the ball striking so much that I could play him in cash like a 50-50 or double up. Otherwise, it's going to be a wait-and-see situation with the ownership, how it shakes out.
It is, and Cam Smith, to me, is the one that I really am interested in where the ownership's going to fall. I mean, I think a lot of these guys that, and we talked about this a lot on the betting show, but, you look, these guys are, we don't have all the same information about the live guys as we do everyone else. And so that could, and what do DFS players like, DB? They like a lot of information.
Oh, yeah.
If we've learned anything from doing this show over the many years, is they want a lot of information. They want stats. They want history. They want form. All of these kind of things. And it's a question mark for all the live guys. Now, we get to see a little bit of form, obviously. Brooks Koepka right now about to maybe win for the second time on live. But Cam Smith's one of those guys who hasn't been great on live. And so, but look.
What happened?
He is one of the best. He's one of the best golfers in the world. Your current Open champion golfer of the year. If you get some lower ownership on Cam Smith, if you start to see that come Wednesday, I'm going to be a big fan. And as we talked about also on the betting show, he's weatherproof. We think
weatherproof Cam.
Yeah, Rain-X, as you said.
Yeah, Rain-X. Play him whether the weather's good or whether it's bad.
So Cam Smith is interesting to me, and he is one of the top ones up here that I really want to. I feel like I already am slotting him into some lineups, but we'll see.
Well, by the way, last we checked with Cam Smith on the betting show, he was like T5.
Yeah, he was
5 under on his final round in Orlando, and then he went bogey double on bogey triple. So he's now finished.
Did they let him drink on the live tour? Is that what happened? Did he get a?
I feel like he would have been better.
Did he get a club pour? I
feel like he would have been better.
Transfusion? Is that what happened?
Well, it depends on the club. At my club, that would not get you. It wouldn't do a damn
not
thing.
At my club.
At your club, it would do. It would send you to the friggin'. You'd be dead. Okay, let's move on. I don't remember, Pat. All this is running together. Have I talked about the giveaway of the merch on this show?
Yes, you did.
I already did that.
Yeah. That was when you put the picture and you tried to hold up the watch, but the picture was up there.
Was that on this show?
Yes.
Boy.
It's only 5:30.
Oh dear. I am
that late yet.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, people. I mean, I have a bad memory and I've been drinking.
You have me, DB.
I've been drinking vodka. I will say this, if you're betting, if you're playing any sort of like underdog, prize picks, anything like that, you've got to download the Pickett app because the Pickett app is free to download anywhere, iOS or Android, and they're paying people to do it. They're giving you either $3 or $100. Somebody wins $100 a day when they download the Pickett app, and it's a free app. The whole app is free, and they're paying you money through PayPal to do it. If you use our link, which is in the description of the podcast and YouTube channel, and referral code TJ, be sure to follow Tour Junkies DB on Pickett, by the way. I'm crushing it on there. You can tail picks. You can see if the people that you're tailing are actually betting the things that they say they're betting, how they're doing. You can track your own picks, which is extremely important. You need to sync one of your sports books or all of your sports books, including Prize Picks, Underdog, other sites like that, kind of those daily fantasy sites. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see kind of my calendar for January and February. The Pickett app keeps track of all your bets how you're winning, how you're doing. Are you doing better on, here's an example of round robins or parlays, prize picks or underdog, player props, team props. All these things will all be kept up with on Pickett, so you don't have to do it manually or on a spreadsheet. And then you can dive into every game of every major sports league and see who are the popular props, what are people on, where's the handle going, where's the money going, how's the line moving, and you can do all the line shopping, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, golf. Everything is right there on Pickett. Use the description use the link in the description below. Referral code TJ. Remember, you got to do that to get your $3 or $100. We appreciate Pickett for supporting the podcast the way that they have this year. So if you want to support us, support them. All right, let's move down to the 8K range, Pat. Talking 8K range. Again, I want to start with guys we're absolutely out on. Okay? Guys I'm absolutely out on. I'll make this snappy. Matt Fitzpatrick, Will Zalatoris. I don't care what I really don't care what the ownership comes in at. If you tell me on Wednesday night Will Zalatoris is going to be 7% owned, will I be like, oof, dang, that's tempting? Yes, I will. But will I do it? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know. Will Zalatoris is the one that I'm kind of like, ugh. But the injury has caused him to change the golf swing, and the golf swing is not quite done the same amount of damage from a ball striking standpoint that we were seeing when Will finished runner-up in 6th place at Augusta. Mm-hmm. Add into that the putting situation that is still ridiculous, and I know he's putted well at Augusta, but still, it's very scary. It's very scary. So I think I'm out on him. Matt Fitzpatrick's neck injury, I don't know how serious it is. I don't know if it's affecting his iron play. I don't know what's affecting his iron play, but regardless, it's bad. I do not want someone, and Fitzpatrick has a good record here at Augusta. I do not, the iron play, especially from 175 to 225 yards, is the number one indicator of success to me at Augusta National. And if Fitzpatrick's irons are that bad, I'm not doing it. So I'm not doing that. And then I'll make a third bold call. I'm not going to play Sam Burns.
Wow, we have got the exact same players written down.
Tell me why you're not going to play Sam Burns.
Actually, I was surprised you were going to go Sam Burns because I didn't think you were going to get that bold, DB.
Well, I mean, I'm appreciative of him for helping me hit him at 50 to 1.
Yeah, but I had a feeling you were going to keep it safe because I knew Willie Z and Matty Fitz were going to be two of your guys because they're kind of easy.
Yeah.
That's a little bit easy. But Sam Burns is hard because he's coming in good form. We've seen him. And now he was not in great form earlier this season. It's been pretty bad. But if you look at, let's just dive into him a little bit. I mean, other than the recent results he's had, he's played here one time, all right? Missed the cut the one time he has played here, which was last year, okay? And then if you look at the stats, I mean, and I'm looking at the last 24 rounds, which, it has improved over the last few weeks, but you look at approach, 78th in the field. 78th.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, are there some olds ahead of him?
The irons.
What's going on
there?
No
kidding.
I mean, the ball striking isn't great, 61st in the
Sandy
field.
Lyles beating Sam Burns. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, the ball striking isn't great, 61st in the field there. His scrambling ability is another one that I think is going to could hurt him a little bit. Now, again, he showed some flashes there at the match play, but it's such a different course there than what we've got this week at Augusta. So I feel like, especially if you get more ownership from Sam because of what he's done, it's a really good fade to me. So he was up there as one of mine. I was kind of thinking you might skip him. But I like that you threw that out there. So, and it's bold. I get it. It's a bold play.
Yep. All right. So, I mean, I think in cash, let me say this. I in terms of chalk, I think 3 names have potential to be quite popular here. I think Sung J M, I think Jason Day, and I think Tony Finau are going to be your chalk players here. In cash, if I were going to do cash, I actually feel more comfortable with Tony Finau and Sung J M. Jason Day's playing fantastic. Jason Day has a great record at Augusta National. Same could be said for Tony and Sung Jae. Mm-hmm. One difference. This weather. If this weather is what it is what it is projected to be as of now, cold, windy AF, that worries me a little bit about Jason Day and his sniffles and his back and his vertigo and his allergies. Now, thankfully, all the pollen has left Augusta, so I think he's good. But there's this one little thing. So if I'm going cash, I'm going safety net. I think I roll Sung Jae or Tony, but I think all three of those players in GPPs are going to be popular. Now, one of those players is chalk. I will double exposure, and that is Tony Finau.
I know you're in love with Tony Finau this week.
Tony
And
Finau,
it's not going to go away, is it? There's no way there's no way that your love could be interrupted.
If he were maybe, if he were approaching 25, 30%, then I would probably be like, dang, that might be a reason to. I don't know why the TV is freaking out. The TV behind me is freaking out.
Well,
people are probably like, what the?
It's technical difficulties. It happens.
Oh, yeah, we have to have that because everything's run so smoothly so far with us being in person, which also usually doesn't happen.
No.
But Tony Finau for me is a play. I am absolutely in love with Tony Finau this week. I think everything is converging. The long iron plays and those key proximity buckets is key. Strokes gain home life, 33 years old, plenty of Masters experience, greatest guy in the world, prototypical Masters member from like the gentleman family, good guy, no warts on the resume for Tony personally. Like he checks every single box, both statistically when it comes to golf and then off the course. He checks all those boxes. So Tony Finau is the guy that I am very, very in on.
Yeah, I think in cash too, he's almost like an automatic play. A great way to start there. If you're starting a cash lineup, throw Tony Finau in there first, and then kind of work your way from there. A few other. I'm a big fan of Sung Jae. I agree.
Yeah.
I wish his ownership wouldn't be that high. Like I'm kind of surprised you said it was going to be. You thought it was going to be pretty high. I don't want it to be because I am all in. He's my guy. Like not as much as you love Tony Finau. Do I love Sung Jae this week? But it's close. I'm up there. I do think though, DB, and I know this is going to be one that you're not going to be a big fan of. But for GPPs, I'm really feeling Victor Hovland this week. I really am. I think other than his scrambling ability, which is absolutely terrible, we understand that. But he is, one of the best ball strikers in the world. He always has been. A decent putter on bent grass greens. I think, and then you look at just the way he's played here. Now, he played here as an amateur and made the cut. He was low amateur here. And he's had some decent finishes, but not great, like all in the top 30. That's like Victor Hovland, top 30. That's what you're getting.
Yeah.
But he has shown some flashes here recently with his form. Finished T3 at the Players, had a great Sunday, got up there. Nobody was catching Scotty Scheffler, but he got up there and contended. So I think Victor Hovland, he was top 10 at the Arnold Palmer. Those are both great field events. And Arnold Palmer is a very difficult course as well, where they had some weather. If I remember right, didn't they have some weather at the Arnold Palmer?
I think they had some wind.
They had some wind that made it a little more difficult. So I think Victor could be one of those like sneaky low-owned GPP plays that I really like. Don't you think he'll have some low ownership?
I think so. I don't know. I could see myself getting turned on to Victor depending on all that.
Yeah.
I think a couple of leverage plays that I'm interested in. One is possibly Dustin Johnson at 8,800.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously DJ has always played or typically played Augusta extremely, extremely well. The live form has left a lot to be desired. He finished 37th in Mayakoba, finished 13th at Tucson. But he's on the way to finishing, looks like T7 at Orlando. So kind of trending is what you would expect for DJ in a golf season. The first event comes out, he doesn't give a rip. He finishes near the bottom. Then he kind of turns up, finishes near the top middle, and then he finishes decent. So, I mean, I think DJ is a live player that I'm interested in. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of the community says about DJ and about whether or not they want to play him. But at $8,800, it feels very enticing to have DJ on my team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I'm interested in him and Hideki. I talked in the Nut Hut for the Valero about Hideki for quite some time. And I said the ownership on Hideki at like 7% because everyone was scared of the withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Was very enticing because it's low ownership. I can be overweight at 15%, 16%. And if he does withdraw, it doesn't completely ruin all of my lineups. It just tanks 15% of them.
Yeah.
But if he does play, his upside is so good that it's great leverage. And it ended up being solid leverage. He finishes 15th at Valero this past week, shot 7 under, shot a 70, 72, 68, 71. I think Hideki is in play. I don't know that he's going to win, but at 8,400, you give me Hideki. I really, really like it. The wind and the weather, like the cold temperatures, concerns me a little bit, but we'll just have to see how it looks come Wednesday. But he's one I've got my eye on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Hideki's got a place in my heart as well because I hit him when he won.
That's right, you did.
So what was he, 50 to 1?
No, he was like 30.
Okay, yeah. Whatever. Still hit him.
It's like a fish story. It grows in your mind. All right, so let's move on to the 7K range. Before we do that, I want to remind everybody that we are having a get-together, okay? You can come hang out with us at the King and Print. Did I already do this episode?
You have not.
Okay, good. We are doing another live tournament at the King and Prince in St. Simon's Island, April 21st through the 23rd, a listener weekend with me and Pat hanging out. The cost includes your 2-night stay in either the King and Prince Resort, or you can choose to stay in a hotel just off property for a little cheaper. We have single occupancy and double occupancy rates available. It includes your stay and your golf. It does not include your food and beverage. Now, caveat to this. This is a very last-minute thing that we have thrown together just to see what would happen. Okay, it's a spring event. Our spring calendar is loaded. We want to do more events like this in the fall that are smaller, more accessible to airports, more attractive locations than maybe other places that we did in the past. But we threw this one together quickly to see what would happen. And right now, we do not have enough people signed up to make this trip happen. So you have until April 10th. So I'll remind you about this again next Monday for the RBC Heritage Show, and then you're going to have a couple days. You have until April 10th to sign up and pay. You can go to tourjunkies.com/shop, and there's an option in the shop to go ahead and pay for it. You see some more details there in the description of the shop. You can pay for it and get it done, signed up, bring a buddy, do the double occupancy thing, make it cheaper. And, play some golf with me and Pat, a handful of other listeners, have some dinners, have some drinks by the fire pit, enjoy the King and Prince Resort in St. Simon's. It's beautiful. It's on the beach. It's a lovely resort. They're taking great care of us. The prices are lower than what they're advertising on their website. It's going to be a great time, great trip. So right now, we don't have enough. So if you want to get in, you got to get in like ASAP. Ask the spouse, ask the boss, make the commitment, get in. Otherwise, we're going to cancel it, and we'll let you know about the next events coming up in the fall. Just trying to throw something together last minute, and it is what it is. Okay. Also, join us on Underdog for some best ball content. Now, this is a lot of fun. We didn't do the best ball thing until recently.
Yeah.
But you may have done the best ball draft situation for the NFL and for major or for football, NBA, whatever. We've never done it, but now best ball or Underdog is doing best ball for the major championships in golf. And it obviously starts with the Masters. So it's going to lock for the Masters. You need to get in. And right now their big contest is the Albatross contest, which I'm going to flash up. Well, no, because you can't hear. It doesn't have sound. I forgot. The Albatross contest, $500,000 in guaranteed prizes. And right now there's overlay. So overlay alert, get in there and get a part of that $500,000 in prizes, $100,000 to the winner. And all you do is draft a team for the majors, and then you're done. You don't have to set a lineup. You don't have to set a roster. It's done. You just have to sit back and watch for the rest of the season to see how it all pans out. And the drafts can take as little as like 10 to 15 minutes. I did a 30-second pick draft on our YouTube channel. You can watch it. I screen shared it, and it took 14 minutes for me to draft my entire team. Or you can do a long draft if you want. If you want to do that, you can. But the Albatross is a $10 entry, $150 max entry contest. And it's a fantastic contest. It's a lot of fun on Underdog. There's a link in the description of the YouTube video and podcast if you've not joined Underdog. So you can click that link, get in the Albatross, and it gives you a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100 by clicking on that TJ link. But it's a lot of fun. And plus, they have all the pick'em stuff. So the higher, lower, golf things that I put in the heavy petting email every Tuesday. We talk about them in the Discord every week. It's fantastic stuff. Check out the Underdog Albatross contest. Get that thing going, maybe filled, but there is overlay available right now for everybody. All right. We got to get to the 7K and move quickly here, Pat. 7K range. Guys, you are not playing. I'm going to rattle them off.
Okay.
I got a list here. I'm not playing.
I know who one of them is.
I'm not playing Billy Horschel. Not good at the Masters. Terrible irons. Not doing it. I'm not playing Sergio Garcia. Spotty record at Augusta after his win. Spotty at live finishes. I'm not doing it. I'm not playing Adam Scott because I don't trust his play right now either. Irons have been weird. Not doing it. I'm not playing Tom Kim. Debutante, out of form a little bit. I'm not going to do it. He doesn't check a lot of the trend boxes at Augusta. This is Augusta National. This is different. Okay? Not doing it. And I'm not playing Terrell Hatton.
That's the one I wanted to talk about.
Terrell Hatton doesn't like Augusta National.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't like the course. And I know he's good, but again, there are a lot of good players in this range. You have to decide that you're going to eliminate guys because you can't play a lot of these guys. So if you find a reason you have to do it, finally, I'm not playing Bryson because he sucks.
Yeah, I knew Bryson was going to be on there, so I agree there. And I think that Terrell Hatton is one that I kind of wanted to touch on because, yeah, he's been fantastic. He checks a lot of boxes here, but he just doesn't seem to like it. And he makes cuts, but he doesn't have a whole lot of upside here. So I think Terrell Hatton is one I'm with you on. Another one I think is, the guy I hit at 50-1 just a few weeks ago, and that's Taylor Moore. I don't think I want to play a guy who's a rookie, who's I know he's, in good form and whatever else. I can't play some Taylor Moore. So,
I don't mind Moore. I could get into
You know who else I'm not going to play? Keegan Bradley.
Yeah.
Not going to play Keegan.
It's tough to envision Keegan not 3-putting a lot of greens at Augusta.
Could you even see Keegan like donning the green jacket?
No.
Not that you have to have the green jacket to, you need the guy winning in this.
No, you don't need a guy winning.
But still, he's on the list there. There are plenty of good options, though, in this range that I absolutely love. Now, I think one that is a guy that, not a whole lot of people were talking about just a few weeks ago that I feel like could be a little bit, a little bit chalky, DB, is Minwoo Lee.
Yeah,
I think that one's going to be one that I want to look at later in the week to see where I'm seeing the ownership projections. I don't know if I want to play a chalky Minwoo Lee. I like him a lot. I think this is a great course for him. You look at the fact that in his first time ever playing here, he finished in the top 15. That is huge.
Yeah.
And he is a fantastic talent. But if I get a little bit of a chalky Minwoo Lee, I'd be, kind of wanting to stay away.
He's one of those I think will be more chalky in sharper contests, listener leagues, 3-max, single entry, large dollar things. Yeah. He may not be as chalky in, the big Millie Maker.
Yeah, I'd probably agree.
But still, I mean, people got some exposure to him at the Players, for sure.
I think, Brooks Koepka certainly interests me here at 7,600, coming off of what I think is about to be a win.
He won. He just won.
He did win. Yep. So I think that's interesting. We'll see what the ownership looks like on him there. I think Justin Rose, if you're wanting a guy that could be a little bit, could grind it out in weather conditions, even though he is older, I get that. But, we tend to look at some of the Europeans who grew up playing and, a lot of varying conditions. Justin Rose is a guy, I think at 7,800 that could be a pretty good play. And I tell you what, DB, I mean, just for the pure fact of wanting to see everything blow up in everybody's face, Patrick Reed is 7,300. I want to see it. I'm here for it. I'm here for the drama. I want all of it. And Patrick Reed has actually been playing fairly well, too. So, you know what?
I like it.
Patrick Reed, GPP.
P. Reed just finished tied for third with Dean Burmester in Orlando. Bogey-free, 4 under in the last round at the shitty golf course in Orlando. All right. Well, a couple of, for cash lineups, I think Tommy Fleetwood is interesting. I think Tommy's kind of weatherproof a little bit, whether it's good or whether it's bad. I think we can roll with Tommy Ladd. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, I think we can roll with Tommy Ladd. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, I think we can roll with Tommy Ladd. Meet me at the crossroads. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were going there.
I mean, you just kind of feel it there. But I think Tommy Ladd, man, he's at Rain-X, baby. You put it on when it's nice and it bails you out when it's not nice. Mm-hmm. So I think Tommy's playing well. I don't think Tommy's going to win. Tommy's not going to win. But I think he's playing good enough right now. He's got a decent enough track record at Augusta to do something. I like him. Corey Connors is going to be chalky. He just won Valero again. It is official. He just won Valero, and he is going to be major chalk. You are going to have to make a decision on Corey Connors, a.k.a. Coco, in the Nut Hut. So I don't know. Remains to be seen where it falls, but he will be popular.
Yeah.
A couple of names in here that I think could be a little less popular that I'm interested in. Shane Lowry is one that I think is also a little weatherproof, good or bad. I think I like him. Good around the green play. Irons are solid. He's started to figure it out at Augusta his last few years. I like that. Patrick Reed is one that I was looking at. I think Kurt Kitayama. And with bad weather, I think Chris Kirk, who just had another good week at Valero, I think Kirk is interesting. Russell Henley is interesting to me a little bit down there, cheap. So a lot of good names here in the 7K range. Obviously, we'll get into a lot of these further and in detail as the week rolls on, especially in the Nut Hut. So let's do that. Let's move down to the 6K range and do our 6K draft before we wrap this up. Before we do that, Rainmakers coming to DraftKings. Holy moly, Rainmakers is here. It's fantastic. If you've done it in the NFL stuff, you probably already love it. All right. The Approach drop is the newest inventory. The PGA Tour Approach, 5 weekly drops starting on April 4th. Access to over $7 million in prizes this year. Grab this weekend's players. Use them all season long. So the PGA Tour Approach is coming. You can just upgrade your lineup with this weekend's players and compete for $350,000 in prizes. That is for this year's first major, of course. The Rainmakers PGA Tour Classic Core Contest, $50,000 guaranteed, $5,000 to first, locks on April 6th. So you're going to want to make sure you get that. All right. So try out Rainmakers, give it a shot. We're going to be trying it. We've not really done a whole lot of Rainmakers before now, but we're gonna be dipping.
I started dabbling in it.
Yeah, I know you did. We're gonna be dipping our toes into Rainmakers a little bit, doing some content. But check it out; it's a lot of fun. Open a pack, get surprised. Probably get disappointed too. It's both. It's both.
I've opened 2 packs.
Have you?
One I was surprised and one I was not.
Okay.
There was a surprise in one of them.
Oh, good. What was your surprise?
I can't remember what it was.
I
think it was Justin.
Was
Thomas.
it a good surprise or a bad surprise?
I got like a Justin Thomas little card or something that I was happy about.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's get into the 6K drafts. So last week's 6K draft at the Valero ended up pretty good, Pat. Pretty good. Where the hell was it? I just wrote it down somewhere.
You had it. You were talking about it right before we came on.
Oh, here it is. We had 3 miss the cut. So that was, we've been getting 4 through the cut. We had 3 miss the cut. We had Lucas Glover finish 45th. Kevin Chappell finished 39th. And my boy Andrew Novak finished 8th. A lot of upside there with Novak. I'm telling you, that dude's a flusher. So, all right, let's do the 6K draft. We're each going to pick a player. We don't have to agree. We're going to start. Who's starting, me or you?
I'll start.
Okay, go.
I'm going to start at the top here. I like Tom Hoge at 6,900. He's a guy that, again, look, this is a great iron player, and he just makes a ton of cuts.
First Masters last year, made the cut, finished, I think, top 40 maybe. Solid iron player. I like Tom Hoge a lot. He was one I was looking at, too. The next guy for me is a pretty easy pick. He's a guy that I talked up last week at low ownership, and he had a great week at Valero. Alex Noren at 6,800. Hasn't played the Masters in a few years, but has a decent track record on tough courses. He's kind of a gritty player.
Yeah.
So I like Alex Noren at 6,800.
Absolutely love that play. I'm going to go with the guy we just had on the show today, JT Poston. He is at 6,600. I think this could be a good week for him. I think he actually might be a sneaky good player if we get bad weather.
The weather, I was going to say the weather will definitely help Postman.
Yeah. Now it's going to get more difficult, DB.
Yeah. I'm gonna probably throw you off here with this one. Let's see. Let me check something real quick here. Yeah. I'm probably gonna throw you off, but there's a guy in the low 6K. It might be the lowest price player. Yeah, it's the lowest price guy I'm eyeing right now. He finished 10th last year at Augusta National for the Masters, 26th the year before, 25th the year before that, and he's won. And he's 6,500, and it's Charles Short 6,400. It's Charles Schwartzel, my man.
Wow. Okay.
What do you think about old Schwartzy, who just finished? I think he just finished 21st in Orlando. Not great, but I mean, loves Augusta National. Good at Augusta. I like the price for a $6,400 Charles Schwartzel. When you think about 65% of this field is going to make the cut, I feel like Charles is going to be in there, and I think his upside last year T10.
I don't mind it, actually. I think I could get on board with that. My guy next, I'm going to go with at 6,500, Adam Svensson. He is a guy that has played well this year. Obviously won at the RSM, finished T13 in his last start at the Players Championship, top 25 at the Arnold Palmer. I think even though he is a rookie and this is his first year ever, he's just such a solid, good. You mentioned the word flusher. Just like a great ball striker.
Yeah.
I love that about Svensson. So he'll be my next one here at 6,500. So you got the last one, DB.
Well, I'm tempted to go Moronk here, but I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit. I do like Moronk, but I think a lower-owned player who's in great form right now, who's also a Masters champion, is Danny Willett.
Yes.
Danny Willett is at $6,600.
Mm.
Oh, I went to
Aussie
there.
Yeah.
I went to Aussie there. 27th at the Players, 34th at API, 29th at Honda, 18th at Genesis. Like those are four. I mean, other than the Honda, like those are 3 of 4 big boy tournaments. And I do think with the weather, it makes Willett that much better at Augusta National and a past champion, dude. I mean, Danny Willett's a really damn good player. Finished 12th last year, like Charles Schwartzel, really good finish. A T25 2 years ago. So 3 Masters ago. So I think Willett's interesting.
I'm okay with it.
I think we have
agreement here in this 6K draft.
So there it is. There's a 6K lineup. It is Tom Hoagie, Alex Noren, Danny Willett, JT Poston, Adam Svensson, and Charles Schwartzel. And that's the show. We have hit it all. We've accomplished it all. Thanks for sticking around. Be sure and check out the betting show if you haven't already. Get in the Discord. Get a part of that giveaway. Win this nice watch, among other things. Let's have a great week. May your screens be green. Anything else?
That's all I got. Happy Masters.
Happy Masters. See you out.